I want you to think of your favorite video game sequels for a sec. I'm talking the games you like more than their predecessors, and try to pinpoint a reason as to why it's your favorite. I'd bet you an entire trove of golden watches that it's not because of the stuff that was exactly the same in the game prior. The irony of Opera of Fear is that, on a mechanical level, it's better than any of the locales in Sly 2, most prominently, the basic moment-to-moment satisfaction of running from one end of the level to the other, making snap decisions based on the movement patterns of guards and gondolas, making use of traps, a disguise, the sheer degree of verticality. Pickpocketing is more immediately gratifying as you get the payout from loot as soon as you pocket the goods, and yet, I've always had the sense, even as a child, that if Venice had instead been a destination in Sly 2, it would probably have been my least favorite. The real gnarled heart of this whole sequel thing is that if you ask the fans what they want, they'll always say, "More please." There's a quote attributed to Henry Ford: "If I had asked the people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses." He probably didn't actually say this. This is closer to a sentiment coined by Edvard Manga that wasn't attributed to Ford until he'd been dead for decades, but it's pithy and I like the sentiment, that the general populace is uncritical and unimaginative when it comes to the next step. Yet every truly amazing follow-up has taken strides to leap out from that shadow and forge its own identity, just as it's time for us, and our gang, to travel onward.
At first, it seemed just like old times. The gang was back in action. But little by little, we learned that Murray's heart just wasn't in it.
I couldn't really ask for a clearer thesis statement for this episode. It was just like old times, but...
Without the Guru's permission to give up on his Dreamtime training, he'd never really feel comfortable returning to the gang. We knew we needed to help him out.
Our premise right out the gate is a massive shakeup. We've never started an episode with the boys just straight chillin'. We've finished plenty that way, but now we're essentially working backwards. That's not a bad thing, but it does keep you off balance.
So, we packed up our things, whipped up some quick disguises, and headed for the Australian Outback.
Now this opening is filled with references. This sorta chiptune song playing at the beginning is based off Sly's main motif. This image of Carmelita looking super stylish is from a bonus video hidden under beginning of the end. This is Goodbye My Sweet, a bit analogous to the stamp heist video hidden in Sly 2. It puts me in somewhat of a tough spot, because we've only unlocked half the video, but chronologically, if this heist is canon, it would seem it takes place right about now, between episodes 1 and 2. I'm fond of this lending a sort of double meaning to Sly saying the gang is back in action, and I love the idea of the three of them pulling a low-stakes, just-for-fun job to celebrate getting the team back together, but I have to say if it's canon, because it doesn't fit super well. Carmelita puts investigating international crime on hold to act as a bodyguard for a chocolate bar. It doesn't track. Even still, we have about a bazillion Easter eggs to appreciate. This opening shot of the Paris hideout has the sign for Le Stinky Cheese, which was in the Black Chateau. We've got memorabilia from tons of past jobs: Raleigh's hat, Mugshot slot machine, Dimitri's painting, the Panda King's fireworks, Ms. Ruby's voodoo doll, Rajan's hat, and look, there are clue bottles in this game after all. Fictional newspaper articles are always fun to pause and look at, just to see what method they used. Sometimes they copy-paste one paragraph over and over, sometimes they go full lorem ipsum, and rarely, my personal favorite, they'll actually write something for people as insanely thorough as me to read. Now the framing kinda swoops all over the place, but I've transcribed as much of it as I could. Things are pretty standard, almost boring for a while, and half of it did get copied onto the second page, but Hokyo Lim is the name of a member of Sly 3's art team, who, I'd say it's safe to assume, wrote the text for this scene and inserted himself as both the professor of delicious confectionery treats and the professor of historic confectionery treats. As the text gets further from center screen, he starts freestyling a bit, talking about some of his favorite snacks like pretzels and apple juice, soccer, and finally, in something I'm kinda surprised he got away with, I sure am glad I have all my Christmas shopping done for the year. I can't believe it's only a few days away, and I'll be working on this cutscene over my break. Lame. Now this does offer a potential answer to a very old Sly Cooper mystery. A member of the art team with a propensity for inserting himself in the assets would explain the dubious presence of a human face popping up from time to time. And Just going off of appearances, yeah, I think it's safe to assume this is Hokyo Lim. If we do accept this bonus video as canon, this passage has a bit of interesting lore. Director James Barkley is a character we've seen in the final cutscene of Sly 2, but we only know his name because of the first Sly Cooper comic. That one's also tenuously canon, but on the off chance they're both reliable sources, that means with Jimmy's retirement, Carmelita is now in charge of Interpol's crime division. A sailboat on the Caribbean, huh? Nah, it's probably nothing. I hate to nitpick your history here, but Kaiser Wilhelm III's wife was named Cecilia, not Helga, and they actually had 4 sons. This Thievius Raccoonus entry is much the same deal. Kind of a dull read, Thaddeus is even worse with writing run-on sentences than I am. A bit of copy-pasting, but Hokyo couldn't help himself, and snuck in another pretzel mention on the second page. I do really like that we're giving a bit of screen time to a Cooper that so far has only been in those montages. Lastly, all this signage around the train calls back to one of Sucker Punch's favorite jokes, of adding le to anything to make it French by adding das to everything to make it German. What a cliffhanger. Suppose we'll just assume the Cooper gang was captured and dismantled. What a shame. Anyway, meanwhile, the Cooper gang goes oceanic. Another detail not quite like old times, the team traveling by plane. And it's nice to see they've upped their disguise game since we last saw them try their hand at it.
Along the way, Murray told us story after story about his teacher's amazing abilities.
Yep, that's Luke and Yoda from Empire Strikes Back. Pretty sure no one missed that.
Apparently, this guru of his was capable of fantastic feats. He used the Dreamtime to blend perfectly into his surroundings, and even gain mental control over the weak-minded. If even half the stories were true, then this was a guy I just had to meet. Our gang needed to grow its ranks for a chance to get inside the Cooper Vault. And this guru, this Outback mystic, was looking like the best recruit we could have ever asked for.
I appreciate you thinking outside the box there, Sly, but again, this is extremely presumptuous. Murray at least has history as a thief. It wasn't a huge leap that he was willing to be gay and do crime again, but what makes you think his spiritual, peaceful guru is gonna be down?
However, when we finally arrived in the Outback, it was a shock to find that things had changed. And the guru was nowhere to be seen.
One last beat on the dramatic departure drum, there was no face to put on our conflict in that scene. No villain with backstory to go over, just a dirty great mining operation. Welcome everyone and everything to a Rumble Down Under, possibly the most criticized level in the entire trilogy, and it's not hard to see why. Even this establishing shot leading to the safe house is a bit off-putting. The disgusting green water, the grimy industrial mining equipment, the relentless sounds of drills. It's unpleasant, even if deliberately so. For the final time, we're invited to the hazard room to brush up on some skills as Murray. Now, if you played the last game, most of his moveset isn't gonna be news to you, but there are 2 exceptions. The juggle grab, which lets Murray snag guards out of midair, has always stuck with me, because, as I mentioned way back in Paris, this is something you can do in Sly 2, but the game never teaches it to you. And going back, after learning the technique from this game only to find it still worked, slightly blew my mind as a kid. The other, and possibly coolest ability, is the Shakedown, his answer to Bentley's newly acquired pickpocketing gadget. Murray can straight up mug guards by vigorously shaking the loot from their pockets, and this simple addition deserves a lot of attention. While Sly's agility has always placed him atop the team totem pole, opening routes to countless areas unreachable to the rest of the gang, pickpocketing was among the most valuable arrows in his quiver. The unfettered access to the loot so carelessly left in our foes' back pockets was one thing, but there was at least one mission focused on this talent in every single episode of Sly 2. The game practically stating outright that his ability to do this is always essential to our success. So what's the game saying loud and clear now that all 3 musketeers can pull it off? That the responsibilities are shifting. The lines between leader and member are blurring as both Bentley and Murray become more versatile, and suited to the tasks once only their eponymous field man could have done. Better yet, I love the way each method is fitted to the character. Sly's traditional light touch, Murray's brute strength, and Bentley's aptitude with gadgets. Although, if I'd been in charge, I would probably have tied his means to his sleep darts. Just have him press circle on a sleeping guard to rob him blind, cause it does sort of stretch my suspension of disbelief seeing that no one feels this massive cartoon magnet latching onto them. even the historically more perceptive Carmelita. Plus, it would solve the issue of needing to weigh having it equipped against the value of other gadgets, and the fact that it's far slower than Sly's cane. A snag that becomes all the more apparent now that Murray is outright better than Sly at pickpocketing, faster, and the only one of the three who can steal loot even when the guard's already onto him. Yuendumu is a real town in northern Australia, which I'd probably never have heard of if not for this game, and the comfortable familiarity of lampposts and clotheslines are nowhere to be seen here. Apart from the sheer cliffs and the occasional dead tree, the rough and jagged mining equipment is all we have to maneuver with. This attack helicopter keeps dropping explosives everywhere, drawing the attention of twitchy miners. Navigating this space is uncomfortable. There aren't many direct routes among its various quadrants, and no, your Venetian mob disguise won't fly with the Aussies. There's a new power-up in store that will ostensibly make things easier, though I don't know what the spin attack level 2 accomplishes that the Mark 1 didn't. Maybe a bit more range? Yeah, well, at least it was inexpensive.
My master spends most of his time up there in that cave, overlooking the valley and contemplating the depths of deepness. I really appreciate you breaking the news to him that I want to break off my training.
No problem, pal. I'm looking forward to meeting him. Anybody you call master must be a heck of a guy.
Oh, he's awesome! He'll get inside your head and freak you out 6 ways from Sunday.
Awesome.
This exchange kinda reminds me of one from the last game.
You know how I love to mess around with Carmelita.
Yeah, that's weird.
Role's a bit reversed though. This episode has a lot of miniature platforming challenges baked in. Keep an eye out, it's probably the most we've seen since the first game.
Sorry, pal. This cave's empty. Got any other ideas where he might be?
I want to appreciate this imagery on the curtain for a sec. There we go, consider it appreciated.
Well, that's his hut. But he doesn't really hang out there on account of the smell.
The smell?
It's a long story. I had to apologize up and down for like a month before he'd speak to me again.
What did you do?
The unspeakable, Sly. The unspeakable.
As a kid, I always interpreted this to mean something way worse than mistaking the hut for an outhouse, something I must have been too young to understand, but even as an adult, I can't think of what that would be. Then again, Murray is a hippo, and if you've never seen how they mark their territory, well, I wouldn't say it's unspeakable, but I certainly don't think all of you would forgive me for showing a clip.
Sorry, Murray. Nobody's home. And by the looks of it, I'd say the guru was fighting someone or something off here. I'm starting to think the miners might have got to him.
You might be right. They'd come in and be all angry and yelling, and he'd be all peaceful, and they'd just get ticked. Then he'd try to find a middle way, and they'd just go crazy and smash everything up, and then haul them off.
The middle way is actually a Buddhist philosophy, which doesn't have a lot of overlap with the Australian Dreamtime. Maybe the guru's just well-traveled, but the dreaming isn't really about peace. That's more of a bonus side effect of being in tune with your community and the nature around you. Rather, the focus of the dreaming is more like creation myth, genealogy, and one big buzzword Sly is sure to relate to: ancestry. Through meditation, song, dance, and other artwork, they would channel their ancestors, tell their stories, and revel in how their past led them to where they are today. Sucker Punch, you sly dogs. Ain't no way that was an accident.
It's tough to say, but given the layout of the miners' camp, I'd venture a guess that they use that area with a high fence as a makeshift stockade.
Looks like there might be a way up using that cliff below. Shouldn't be a problem.
Just keep an eye out for that gyrocopter. I'm positive it's what gave away the guru's position. These miners have no respect for the Aboriginal sacred sites. They're drilling into everything. Ayers Rock, Kings Canyon, Wave Rock. The cultural insensitivity is sickening.
Again, all three locations Bentley mentions are real places, though strangely, while Ayers Rock and Kings Canyon, aboriginally called Uluru and Watarka, are relatively close to Yuendumu, Wave Rock, or Katarkich, is about 2,000 miles west. I'm fairly sure Ayers Rock is the only one we can see in-game. I'd have to be feeling pretty generous to say anything out there looks like either of the other two. There he is! He's a frickin' koala!
You must be the guru. I'm a good friend of Murray's. He's come asking to be released from his training.
The guru's design went through a lot of ideas on the conceptual level, including a rabbit and kookaburra design that I'd be really curious to see move around. Oh, dear, that's really what they went with, huh? Okay, I get it, it adds to his mystical otherness, and it's not like they could have reasonably hired someone who speaks Entropy. I see the vision, I just don't love it. Especially when the whole gang understands him as though he's speaking English, I have to question why he doesn't speak English.
You seriously won't leave without your gear?
This is also a really unnecessary writing corner they've backed themselves into. It's like showing half a phone conversation. Everything the character says has to contextualize what they're responding to.
As for your walking staff and moonstone, me and my gang have a real talent for stealing back things that were wrongfully taken.
It's so unnatural, unless you're willing to just leave your audience out of the loop entirely. Before I let the slideshow play, there's a Master Thief sprint unlocked from that mission, Rock Run, which sends us along the whole thing again, now with a limit of a bit under 2 minutes. It's a little awkward the way it pauses for binocu conversations that don't happen, but other than that, there's nothing to this. You know, in the first game, you had to collect all the bottles in a level to unlock its sprint, which made it something of a catharsis to blast through as fast as you could after being so meticulous on the first run. But with a mission like this, and the timer as lenient as it is, I feel like I didn't get much out of that. If we go into that stockade on our own, we can't find the guru, but he's got another personalized curtain with the same pattern. And there is mercifully a pipe to ensure we don't have to live out the rest of our days here. And as long as we're up here, this building proudly displays the name of, presumably, this mining company. Bluntly entitled, Dingo Mining.
The guru won't leave the stockade until he has his walking staff and his moonstone.
Another loophole to the guru's language barrier, Bentley can simply have elaborate conversations with him off-screen and relay them to us via Chalk Talk.
He also insists that we purify Ayer's Rock of all miners. Only then will the Dreamtime spirits be appeased, and the guru will be free to use his powers.
Still a weird energy about. It's a very commercial antagonist, kind of like Jean Bassan without the personal stake of his clockwork parts. And we don't even have a head honcho to pin a target on. What we do have instead...
He also mentioned that the miners had foolishly unearthed the Mask of Dark Earth. I guess it was his job to guard the thing, and now that it's out, bad things are sure to follow. Sounds like mumbo-jumbo to me, but we've encountered some unexplainable phenomena over the years, so I'm not gonna rule it out as a threat to our operation.
Thank God Bentley brought up the bad mojo bomb, because if he didn't, I definitely would've. There's a lot to unpack there, but I'm gonna hope a better opportunity to do so presents itself later. With the first proper phase of the episode underway, let's talk structure. This area, despite its grungy aesthetic, is really interesting to play around. This giant crane at the center, which they took the time to label has 12 tons of counterweight, makes for a cool launching point in any direction on account of its spinning. Between that and the climbing routes around the perimeter, Sly has a lot of freedom to keep out of danger while navigating the mining fields, but he'll almost always be reduced to ground level if you try to take more direct routes. What's weird is that we've already done the only mission that's going to highlight all that. Let's start Sly's job, and I'll show you what I mean.
After capturing the guru, the Dingoes confiscated his magic walking staff and moonstone. Without these objects, the guru is powerless.
Given that we're dealing with miners, I bet they stashed the goods in one of the caves around here. It's a secure location with plenty of guys on duty to provide protection.
I agree. The most likely candidate is this mine shaft. It appears to have the highest number of workers coming in and out.
Good place to start. I'm on it.
Almost every job we're going to undertake this episode is going to focus on some kind of sub-area. In this case, the Mineshafts, and this basically turns Australia into the secret 6th level of Sly 1, actually. You got pure platforming stretches, one guard at a time, cleverly themed obstacles. It's weird. I wouldn't necessarily call it a step back, it feels more like an homage. Oh, and don't miss out on these cool Aboriginal cave paintings on the walls. Look at this cow over here, she's my girl.
Time to take you back to your rightful owner. These miners are smarter than they look. They booby-trapped the moonstone. It looks like a light-sensitive detonator. If I can get it outside and into the sunlight, it should power down.
This wall of drills feels kinda like an afterthought, doesn't it? Like maybe in playtesting players didn't realize they needed to double back? Now this is what I'm talking about. That's the kind of explosion I expected when they told me the loot in Sly 2 was booby-trapped. This timer gives me a good reason to bring up Sly 3's dynamic difficulty again. This time, depending on how many times you fail the challenge, the allotted time to escape the cave steadily increases from 55 to 80 seconds. Pretty standard stuff, but what I haven't mentioned up to now is that the internal system the game uses to determine how easy it should take things on you is called... Suck. Yeah, I see what you did there. Every time a player dies or fails a challenge, their suck rating increases, and a bunch of variables like damage and timers are adjusted to match.
The Guru's walking staff must be hidden in their other cave complex. I've marked the entrance in your binocular.
This second mine has a peculiar darkness gimmick, turning Sly into a dynamic light source thanks to the Moonstone. Ambitious given this game's really simplistic lighting engine, but it ultimately doesn't feel like it affects anything. I don't know what it is with these hooks, but sometimes when you latch on, Sly's animations won't load, and he'll suddenly T-pose to assert dominance. Except his tail and mask, of course, those are always physics objects. This back wall also looks like an afterthought. Maybe this mission once took a very different form. Perhaps the caves were strung together instead of separate.
Wonder what's so special about this staff. Another booby trap for a stick? These guys are paranoid. And from the sound of it, they've called in reinforcements. Nothing like a horde of angry dingoes to make things a bit more interesting.
Now this is a surprising difficulty spike, a time limit, relatively low visibility, and hordes of enemies. We've never struggled against a group of rooftop guards before, but these two varieties work surprisingly well together, especially given the limited space on these rails. The kangaroos have this smoke bomb that conceals the attacks of their allies, and these dingoes' whip attacks deal an upsetting amount of damage. Similar to the pigeons guarding Octavio's computer, the kangaroos have had their moveset reduced for this sequence. Ordinarily, they do this elbow drop attack to try and smush ya, and they have the unique property of their regular jump dealing damage if they land on you. Here though, they're just using Smoke Bomb. This is a rare instance of something I outright prefer in the PS3 version apart from the improved resolution. The opacity of the smoke bombs used to be much less of an issue. I'd even go so far as to call it a non-issue, but the kangaroos were made much more threatening, and by extension, much more interesting by this change. The dingoes in this cave also seem to be uniquely more difficult than the ones outside, cracking off their whip attacks much quicker to account for you likely sprinting past them. As you can see, we ordinarily have much less to fear from them. I found the best tactic to be simply spamming jump attacks. I'm sure there's something more elegant, but these miners really gave me the business. That was fantastic. It's a good thing I enjoyed that because both caves have a Master Thief challenge involved. Cave Sprint charges us with taking on the first half of the first cave under a time limit, and the additional caveat of not taking damage. Though, as is tradition, these little pebbles don't count as damage. This sprint actually gives us the opportunity to get a little fancy. We've got about a minute to clear the course, but with a few Master Thief maneuvers, I managed to get a time of just over 36 seconds. Worth noting that the suck system doesn't seem to apply to any mission selected from the Jobs and Challenges menu, and they're locked at their highest difficulty. I'd say that's a pretty good compromise. The second cave's challenge is to knock out a dozen guards and escape in the time limit. I'm reasonably confident that if you can make it out of the cave to begin with, you can do this no problem. Never mind how easy it is to knock these guys off, the limited solid ground leads to them jumping off of their own accord with disturbing frequency. As a pro tip, the push attack comes in especially handy when your enemies are all lined up like this, since it turns anyone you hit into a projectile. And there should be just enough enemies along the way to finish this out no issue. I'm gonna say this is the closest any game has ever gotten to recreating that cartoon dustball brawl through gameplay. In trying to optimize for a high score, I found it was more down to how the enemies spawned than anything I did. You can double back during this middle stretch to get a few extras to spawn in, but with time of the essence, I was never able to pull it off more than once. But I did manage to get 17, which I'm pretty pleased with. One last detail about these caves, the music playing in here seems to borrow from the background track to A Predator Awakes. Not sure if there's some appropriate connection I'm not seeing, but it's interesting nonetheless. With Murray making his proper field debut, we can get his old Berserker charge power loaded in, which is a little more practical than the last game now that flashlight guards have become significantly less susceptible to his fists. Having the option to knock him out can come in handy. Now the question is, what is the best way to dispatch flashlight guards now that they take 5 hits instead of 2? Well, one technique the game won't tell you, if you're holding a guard, you can throw them at your feet instead of straight ahead by pressing triangle. Then you can just pick them up again and repeat. It's not smooth, but we're talking about Murray here. Before tackling our mission, there's a PS4 trophy we can snag now for taking out 5 guards in Australia with the ball form. This ended up being a lot tougher than it sounded, mainly because the ball form's damage is like an eighth that of Murray's fists. Luckily, there's nothing in the rules that says you can't knock off some health with punches first. Afterwards, I found the square button charge maneuver to be much less annoying than the bounces, and there we are, Master Apprentice.
I know you're a little nervous to see your teacher again, but he's requested that you and I pay him a visit individually.
If it wasn't for the Guru, I wouldn't be the Murray you see before you today. I'm just not too sure he'll be pleased with my progress as a mystic.
What are you talking about? You used the Aboriginal ball form to great effect back in Venice. He'll be proud of you.
Maybe, but I lost my temper and got in a fight with Octavio.
To help me. I'm sure the Guru is happy to see friends sticking up for each other. Head into this cave. It'll take you right up to it.
Okay, Bentley. Caves ahoy!
Not much to say on that scene, just all around solid character work. Bentley's pretty quick to assume he understands the Guru's value system, but what else is new? With the Dreamtime, it's all been up to assumptions so far. Example 36J of a mission feeling completely designed to teach us a mechanic they made a hazard room tutorial for anyway. There's a weird forced perspective trick with these pressure pads. They're way bigger than the ones outside, which can lead you to misjudge your jumps.
The door ahead appears to be sealed shut.
Then I'll just bash it in! What's the good of having fists if you can't smack steel doors with them?
It's too thick, even for you. No, to get through, we'll have to overload the pressure in this piston.
You want me to punch it? I could do that!
Use your Aboriginal ball form to bounce on top of the piston and smash it down. Build up enough hydraulic pressure and the door is sure to open.
Piston beware! You're about to be bounced!
I could definitely see this as evidence of Murray's need to overcorrect again, but I think it's more meant to indicate how much he's missed this.
Yes! Eat it, piston sucker!
This set of 3 pistons is hysterical. There's not much strategy to it, but there's no way around the fact that it takes forever.
I did it! 3 against 1, and I still took you piston chumps to school! Oh, look at the size of that guy! He must be jacked up by that mask of dark earth the Guru was warning us about.
Curious, it seems to make the wearer much larger. Probably more aggressive, too.
I can take him. My righteous quest to see the Guru won't be stopped by some big stupid freak in a mask.
Hey, a mini-boss, that's new. He's stupid easy though, so now we can talk about this Mask of Dark Earth a bit. I have it on good authority, it's not directly based on any aspect of the dreaming. If anything, the inspiration seems to be the mask, given Sucker Punch's propensity for drawing influence from their favorite movies, but if we squirm a little, it can still fit in. See, the dreaming is all about the mini. Family, community, all those who have come before, in a word, togetherness. The idea that even if you find yourself alone, everyone who loves you is with you. This mask seems to be an embodiment of solitude, out to wreak its havoc on the collective of miners scattered across its realm. Or at the very least, those are the common threads my boy Mythology and Gaming could find, and as far as I'm concerned, no one is more likely to know than he is.
Holy cow! That mask can run! Mine can't do that.
Murray continues to have the best dialogue in the series. Guess we'll be seeing that guy again later. You can see by the way the Guru moves that he's still animated as though he has his staff.
I have returned, my master. The black water now runs clear. I'd like to... I am asking... Oh, man. Yeah! I want to join back up with my friends, and, we're hoping you'd come along too? You'd love it in the gang. We have all kinds of fun. Miners, gyrocopters, and a mask of dark earth? Yeah, that's a lot to deal with. But we'll help you, I promise!
So I guess the Guru just agreed to join a band of thieves. I suppose if one doesn't place value on material wealth, one wouldn't have any moral qualms to stealing it? I don't know, I guess it never really comes up. Not that we'd know of, anyway. I suppose the trio could just be gaslighting me on what the Guru's saying.
We're hoping you'd come along too? You'd love it in the gang. We have all kinds of fun. But we'll help you, I promise! Thanks, Guru. I'm happy to see you too.
This next mission has the best name.
Big Truck.
Murray, let's motor out to Ayers Rock and scare away those mining dingoes. Your Guru wants it purified.
Awesome! This is the biggest truck I've ever gone to drive! I could crush houses with this baby! Oh, yeah!
I have an idea of how we might drive the miners out of Ayers Rock. But for my plan to work, we'll need to force the drill on this rig deeper into the ground.
Okay, Bentley, you've got my interest. Though it looks like I may have to take care of a few guards if I'm gonna get at those drill controls.
Defeat the guards and start the drill. Then Murray can begin phase 2 of my plan.
Yes, defeat the guards. Well chosen words, Bentley.
Nice work, Sly. The sonic vibrations caused by that drill should drive the giant scorpions in the area to the surface. If we can capture a bunch of red soldier scorpions, releasing them into Ayers Rock is sure to push out the miners.
This truck is one of my favorite vehicles in the whole trilogy. With the size of these scorpions and the lack of pretty much anything to scale by, except Itty Bitty Sly, it'd be easy to feel like this is just a normal sized truck, but there's a good deal of weight behind the controls that's satisfying to utilize. Never mind the force that would be necessary to flip a tanker this size. The melting wheel mechanic is a clever twist. The hot desert sand will turn them to mush if we don't cool them off with water or scorpion bits. With no real threat from these arachnids, it's good to have an extra factor to keep track of, and there are two details involved that I can't say enough good about. The heat meter pauses if the truck is upside down, and you can keep pushing the gas in this position too.
Hang tough for a minute. My sensors are showing a drop-off in underground movement. We'll have to drill deeper to keep the scorpions coming out. Sly, you'll have to climb to the top of the drill tower and override the depth control system.
Okay, Bentley, I'm on my way.
Love a good back and forth between teammates like this, and this is a neat climb. Really pushes the wall hooks about as far as they can go.
It's working. Wait a minute. It's draining the water around the tower. Murray, you'll have to rely on squishing scorpions to keep your tires cool from here on out.
Ooh, what an organic way to up the difficulty. Like, of course that would be the consequence of drilling deeper. And now, what was a skillful extra we could go for is necessary to close out this mission. Brilliant. Madmen. Architects. Hey, here's a weird bit. These scorpions can drop coins, but they can only be collected if you manage to line up the truck's wheelhouse with them. I guess it makes sense, it's just peculiar.
Great job, Murray. Now back that truck full of scorpions up to the mine entrance and deliver that not-so-friendly payload.
No! Giant scorpions? Run for it, mates! Uh-oh!
Blue's Clues asks, uh-oh, alright. Yep, so consider Ayers Rock purified. Again, great choice of words.
Ayers Rock is clean of miners. The guru will be pleased.
Don't worry, we'll get to it. Scaling the drill is a Master Thief challenge which gives us just under 30 seconds to reach those override controls. You can skip one of these upper gears if you're really going for the gold, but I don't see much room for optimization past that. I did find out while waiting out the timer that you can climb down this ladder at the front of the truck though, so that's neat. You can do it back on the main map too, but I have no clue why you would. Bentley can pick up the health extractor off of ThiefNet. Now my main issue with this thing in our last soiree was that it costs barely less gadget power than a health pickup restores. They've dramatically reduced its cost, which is nice, but now I'm forced to come to terms with the fact that it's really not practical. In a pinch, you could always use the free trigger bombs to accomplish much the same tasks, so I'm still not crazy about this one.
Hail, O Guru of the Stone! Murray has purified Ayers Rock, and now I humbly deliver your walking stick and moonstone. The time for escape has come. Thank you, you're too kind. But tell me, how do you plan to escape? Gadzooks! You can transform yourself! Why, once you change shape, a guard is sure to come inside and investigate! Too true. Wait, here comes a guard.
The Guru, a brand new playable character. Murray's tales were not exaggerated. He can transform to not only blend into his environment, but become invincible as well. Though he has no direct attacks of his own, he can hop onto the backs and minds of guards and steer them around like a turbo Segway. He can even make use of their attacks, the whip for the small dingo, the gun for the big one, and I guess because there were no other options, the smoke bomb for the kangaroo. It serves literally no purpose. Even if you have drawn the aggro of another guard, it doesn't function like Sly's smoke bomb. Not that you'll typically need to worry. Despite the Looney Tunes legs, purple koala on their back, and this look in their eye, the other guards won't suspect a thing unless they expressly see you mount up. The kangaroos do retain their unique property of keeping their hitboxes during a jump, which is a nice attention to detail, but that's about all there is to the Guru. Let's head over to the mission.
I hear you. Those drills are tearing up the landscape. They appear to be fragile at the base. Ram a guard into it, and the whole apparatus should break apart.
Haven't I did hear you.
Oh yeah, some things never change.
I like that his binocucom is him just peering through the moonstone and communicating, I guess, telepathically with the gang. There is another achievement we can snag now. Boggling the minds is for using the same guard to attack 3 others. Bear in mind, this is attack, not defeat, so nothing too taxing. Honestly, that goes for all of Guru's gameplay. His various means of stealth outclass even Sly, so the only real challenge comes in the form of controlling his mounts since they won't stop moving forward.
That grinder is tearing up Wave Rock!
Wait, this is meant to be Wave Rock? I guess.
However, the linked generator is weak, easily destroyed, provided you can jump a few guards over there and ram it.
Once again, the rules around what is and isn't peaceful are totally nebulous. The only distinction seems to be whether or not the death and destruction are caused by a mystic technique. Like maybe if Murray had exclusively fought Octavio using the ball form, that would have been above board. It's worth considering the possibility that this is, in fact, not a contradiction. As I said, peace and pacifism isn't necessarily one of the Dreamtime's central tenets, but then we need to answer the question, if the Guru condones violence when necessary, why did he instruct Murray otherwise? Well, given what we know of the Guru, I think it's reasonable to assume that when he said,
To lose myself and not return until the black water ran pure.
he may not have been speaking literally. Though the water in Venice was black thanks to Octavio's schemes, the water within Murray's mind, or soul, or chakras, or whatever metaphor you prefer, was surely just as polluted. Having lost sight of what it was he fought for, it seems the Guru knew that the best way to get Murray's head back on straight was to have him stop fighting until the events in Venice reminded him of why he became the Murray in the first place. And even though that's a borderline headcanon, it does make a lot of this go down easier.
Master, you've done it! The miners' machines are silent! The Dreamtime spirits rejoice!
Another Master Thief challenge, we've got to chain hypnotize 5 guards without touching the ground. Well, 5 or 6, it depends on if the first one you ensnare counts or not. You'll probably need the slightly advanced tech of pressing triangle to dismount a guy without crashing them into something, but once you've got that down, getting 5 in a row is no problem. Once you hit that number though, you may notice the job doesn't end, and indeed, it'll track your high score. And with no time limit, I'm painfully curious to know just how high the game's willing to count. While reaching 5 was no big deal, aiming for 10, 20, and beyond, some rare occurrences that can break up your combo might start rapidly approaching inevitability. For me, this was usually the Guru randomly deciding to magnetize to the guard I just dismounted, but every once in a while, like here when I was at 82 guards, he'll just fail to stick the landing. I did figure out that while the counter won't increase if you hop off and on the same miner, it makes no considerations for you chaining the same 2 guards back to back. I ended up dropping that strategy though, as the Guru seemed less consistent when up against a wall, which this tactic necessitated, so it was back to the old-fashioned way. My working theory was that the limit was 99, and if it ticked over to 100, then maybe I'd dedicate a couple hours another day to reaching 999, but oh my god. Excuse me? I wasn't gonna do this, but god damn it, I'm cheating. Screw you guys. Okay, and 100. 99 is not the cap, color me surprised. But hey, at least now I know this was never gonna happen without save states.
Many hours later.
If you've ever wondered why these videos take so long, shut up, no you have not. I can't describe the dread I felt seeing 999 tick over to 1,000, followed by the relief of seeing it stop there. This is pretty odd. Maximum numbers in games tend to either be the highest value of a given number of digits, so a bunch of 9s, or the highest number calculable by whatever processor is assigned to track it, so 255 for 8-bit, 65,535 for 16-bit, etc. So for the max score to be a perfectly round 1,000 like this, means that someone specifically programmed it that way, which is a weird thing to do for something you'd expect no one to ever see. My only conclusion is that this was meant to be achieved someday. I hope I made you proud, wherever you are. One last bit, check out the Guru's HP icon. That's the same symbol on his curtains, which is vaguely interesting. Our next set of jobs is all about fulfilling 2 goals: clear out all the miners, and deal with the evil floating mask. How exactly we're gonna go about that, well, better to show than to tell. Our Thiefnet Cup runneth over. Bentley's hoverpack is an honest-to-God quadruple jump, granting him absolutely absurd aerial ability to rival even Carmelita. It was honestly news to me it unlocked at this stage of the game, since it's gonna get a pretty big spotlight next episode, and that does feel like a better time to talk about it, especially since we've already done Bentley's only mission in Rumble Down Under. The one where we walked up to the Guru, remember? That was exciting. Murray's Juggernaut throw causes enemies to have a larger impact hitbox when thrown. I'm still trying to figure out the practical applications for this one, but hey, at least they fixed the description this time. Sly's where the money's at. Another new charge attack, Rocket Boots, and our old friend, the Paraglider. Rocket Boots is the stealth slide with a new coat of paint, and packing significantly higher speeds than ever before, both against the slopes and absolutely with them. Fun to play around with, though definitely something I tend to forget I have. The jump attack is, perplexingly, the voltage strike ability in disguise. Sly can now one-shot guards, and it doesn't even cost any gadget power. I'm guessing to balance that out, some guards are resistant to it, including kangaroos, pigeons, and especially the guard dogs. Just to be thorough, I decided to check the pigeons guarding the computer too, and despite their removed resistance to fire, they are still resistant to electric. Also, while doing that, I noticed Bentley's jump animation during this scene had changed now that we've upgraded the booster, which is odd. And lastly, the Paraglider, which always leaves me feeling a little underdressed when I start one of these games over without it, cause it's such a natural extension of Sly's advantage state, and goes perfectly with the crane at the center of the map. I said I wasn't gonna bring up the PS3 trophies again, but there is one funny detail about the one you get for obtaining the Paraglider. You can get it early by simply entering the 2-player mode, since Sly has it there regardless of your progress through the game. Like, wow, right? Lemon Rage, a top-tier name for a top-tier job. Let's go.
All right, boys, look tough and get angry. It's time to intimidate the locals.
I'm not sure I can do it. How do you guys get angry?
Find the match deep inside yourself. Light it, and let the fire burn up your guts and boil your blood!
Yeah, I pretty much do the same thing.
It'd be a pretty big tonal shift for the characters to discuss how they tap into their trauma, so instead we get this relatively lighthearted description, but make no mistake, that is what Sly and Murray are talking about here.
Listen up, dirtbags. Time to clear out. From now on, this bar is Cooper Gang turf.
Tough talk, wagger. But you ain't got no respect with us. We here are known around these parts for our drinking skills. And this just happens to be a lemonade bar.
Sly, I'm not sure this is such a good idea.
If a lemonade drinking challenge is what you had in mind, then the 3 of us will take on the best 3 lemonade drinkers you've got.
Fair dinkum. Losers have to clear out.
A surprisingly above-board approach for the gang, a good honest face-to-face competition. There's been a lot of extra effort on Sly 3's part so far to humanize and downright characterize the generic guards that have populated each level. Once upon a time, there were exactly 4 guards with any dialogue: Rajan's Bouncer, General Clawfoot, this Moose, and whoever made this announcement. But now, between disguises, the audible reactions to the Guru, and the fully loaded cutscenes, so many of these nameless mooks are completely endearing. It's a cool move, but also a bit of an odd one in the light of another change Sly 3 has been making. We'll wrap back to that in a minute though. Ooh, that's sour. We're gonna be slurping pudding through a straw for the next couple weeks. Our lips are gonna be so puckered.
Be one with the drink! You are the lemonade!
There's a ton of flavor dialogue amid this drinkathon, including this one.
Wait, I'm allergic to lemons.
Which explains why Bentley kinda shriveled up when the dingoes threw down the gauntlet. This is one of the best job failed screens in the game. What the heck is a jumbuck? Oh, it is so on! I love that no matter how consistent your mashing skills, our three boys have wildly different paces.
Down it, sissy!
Murray's the anchor of the team, no surprise there.
Go, mate, go!
Alright, Bentley, come on, man. You can do it. We'll get you all the antihistamines you want. Just come on, just finish strong.
Down that lemonade, you monkey jumper!
Full on!
We win.
That's cheating! Why, the turtle spilled more than he drank. Around here, there's only one thing we do with cheaters. Turn on the fence, Bruce!
Whoa! Bruce is on the frickin' ball! He just stands there by the switch, night after night, waiting, hoping to hear those beautiful words. Turn on the fence. Turn on the fence! Oh, he did it!
It's time we gave these cheaters a beating.
Nothing says true friendship like a good old-fashioned bar fight. This is a first. We've never seen all three of them really go to town. It's usually only Sly and Murray, but I love how you can get some organic examples of their teamwork here as they double-team guys. There's no extra points for honor. Fight dirty, smack them into hazards, pull out as many gadgets as you want, this bar will be ours. These kangaroos pouring in are the opposite of those in the mines, only capable of doing their elbow drops. I guess things would have gotten a bit too chaotic if they were throwing out smoke bombs on top of everything going on. They are still resistant to electricity, though with Bruce's fence, that only serves to make their deaths slower. Sly's new jump attack comes in real handy here. And of course, this is what Murray was built for. There are a few similarities to the Big House Brawl. I wonder if Murray's thinking about it right now, and thankful he doesn't have to fight alone this time.
Nice work. This is tense. Sly, you okay? Good one, Sly.
You just keep coming. You holding up, Murray?
Feeling strong. Behold, my powers of destruction.
Give it to him, pal.
Yes! The Cooper gang rules the roost. We're the kings of the hill. The totally maxed out heavyweight champions.
Those guys won't be coming back here anytime soon.
Guys, looks like they saved their big guy for last.
He's wearing that freaky bad spirit mask. He must be so jacked.
We should work together to take this guy down. That mask has a powerful force in it.
Aw, man. Bruce is gonna be heartbroken. This dingo is way less of a pushover than that cave kangaroo. Sly can't even touch him, so let's really hammer home the gang's teamwork by getting Bentley and Murray involved setting up traps. I appreciate this fight narratively a lot more than I do mechanically. I always think it's a mark against a game to just make you run away until a boss does something that makes them vulnerable. I prefer to have more agency, but the way it's contextualized does a lot of heavy lifting. Even though it doesn't do any damage, I like hitting him with the furnace. It feels productive.
Finally, that guy was the mask. It's getting away?
We might have cleared out this bar, but that mask is sure to keep making trouble for us. We need to destroy it.
Heck yeah, that job gets the trio mission complete screen. It's the definite highlight of Rumble Down Under. I'd even say one of the high points of the whole game. It's got a little twist in the challenge menu. Pressure Brawl gives us another timer to worry about. You've got well over 2 minutes. I'd imagine it would have been pretty tough to balance around anything tighter, but as usual, it doesn't end up being much of a factor. My only real tip is to not get too fancy as Murray, and just spam his main punches. It does the job faster than anything in his bag of tricks. Last few details in the bar, it's been creatively named Outback Bar, and they're charging $9 for whatever's roasting over the fire there, $5 for what I can only assume is a crocodile leg, and only $1 for drinks. Not a bad deal. I can see why cleaning this place out would be so demoralizing. These rafters have collision and enough space to be ledge grabbed, so, yeah.
Time we subtracted a few miners from the equation.
You know I don't understand that math talk.
We need to, put the smack down on these, bad dudes for justice.
Righteous. I'm the man for the job.
The guru will start luring miners to a position near this giant crocodile. Your job is to throw the thugs into the mouth of the monster.
Just gonna let that whole plan sink in for a minute.
Teach him to like eating miners, huh? That's a sinister plan, Bentley. I approve.
Sly's relationship with violence has always had a degree of plausible deniability to it, cartoonishly stylized enough to keep most players from scratching their head at any particular crime. Sure, the gang's never had a problem laying the smackdown on the festoonment of goons, but we've never been given much reason to think anyone was sent packing with more than a broken bone or a bad burn. Maybe a horrible disfigurement at the worst.
Roger, it's feeding time.
There's no such ambiguity here. These guys are fucking dead.
That's right. Miners are food. You like eating miners. Take a bite of this. Eat up, pal.
This is a frankly absurd amount of murder for one of our main characters to be so into committing.
Delicious miners. Wonder if they taste good. Chew that miner like bubblegum.
And remind me what these guys are doing? I'm pretty sure just their job, right? Yeah, they're working for a greedy and environmentally unfriendly corporation, but aren't most of us? And as I just alluded to in the bar, this feels particularly psychotic coming off the heels of so much dialogue with these same dudes. Imagine if one of these guys loved his mom's spaghetti as much as that dog from Venice. This isn't okay. Job complete, but at what cost? At what cost?
Tarnation, that mask keeps getting away! Since when do masks get away?
A Master Thief mission tasks us with doing it all again, but this time robbing the dudes as you go. I don't know who decided this was a good idea. There's no limitation on how long you can raid these guys' pockets. Except technically Murray's HP, but enemies drop health packs constantly. Even though the guards exclusively spawn over here, you have free reign over the entire level for this. I found this island over by Wave Rock to be the most efficient, and I hit the max score in like 5 minutes. 1,000 again, so I guess that's just the blanket maximum they assign to all these missions. One last thing to note about this scaly boy, the original concept art for this level's flashlight guards depicted them as Crocs. I wonder if that was changed just so Murray didn't add forced cannibalism to his list of crimes.
You ready to head out for the oil fields? Should be right through this cave.
Oh yeah! Bentley said there'd be heavy machinery and destruction going down.
Sounds like your thing.
Y-E-S, yeah!
We're going after some radioactive oil, right?
I don't know. I can never pay attention during those slideshows. Don't tell Bentley.
Wouldn't dream of it.
He's just like me. He's just like me for real. You can see these rocks off in the distance, both from the main level and Ayers Rock. Nice continuity.
Sly, phase 1 is to protect these power stations while Murray gets all 6 oil wells flowing. Use this Super Claw 10,000 to deal with any miners that might show up.
Another new vehicle to come to grips with. I can't tell if this is just me having done this before or not, but this thing is way too powerful for the number of guards they send your way. You've got at least 4 different means of dispatching these dingoes, but none faster than swinging them for the fences. You can also do this. The mission doesn't really tell you what these nodes the guards are attacking are unless you fail. These are the Claw's power supply, and they have way too much health. I'm quite sure you'd have to sit back and drink a latte to lose this one.
Hurry, Sly! Grab Murray and move before the miners get ahead of you! You better pick up the pace, Sly! Grab Murray and get going! Those guards will be out attacking the...
I was surprised to learn Bentley wasn't just whistling Dixie about the miners beating you to the other power supplies. Wait long enough and they will start attacking without you there.
Oh no! The miners have started attacking the power stations at the next set of oil wells! Let's get that oil burning! Sly, drop a flint rock on the end of that long plank. Hurry, you'll then jump on the end and catapult the rock to the oil wells. The sparks on impact should start a fire.
This final stretch has a bit more going on. Having to go out of your way to pick up a rock and drop it precisely under pressure can give the miners a bit of a foothold, but out of curiosity, I decided to see if it could be done while ignoring the attackers, and yeah, it wasn't even close.
Now for phase 3.
The spinning hooks up on the top of the drill are taken directly from the one at Ayers Rock. To such a degree, we could even latch on if we were to cheat Sly over to him. This electric fence is also made up of climbable poles, which appear to be de-snowed utility poles from Canada. Thrifty recycling or clever continuity?
Both is good.
This is baffling. There's one explosive barrel you can place on the catapult. Murray will dutifully launch it, but it won't ignite the oil. In Australia, rocks are more flammable than bombs, who knew?
With the oil wells alight, the pressure differential should draw the deep uranium-enriched glowing oil to the surface. We'll need to be extremely careful in retrieving a small sample.
Fly! Fly! Look at me! I'm glowing! Woo!
Murray has leukemia now. Honestly feels weird that that's where the mission ends. It kind of felt like they were setting up for you to defend all 6 power nodes surrounding this whole ring at once. That might have even justified the massive HP meter, but what we got instead is Quick Claw. This will give one of our team members about a 20% chance of moving first in his priority bracket each turn. Now, Sly's base speed is so high he's probably always going first anyway, but it could be helpful on Murray or Bentley. Oh, wait. This is one of the weirdest Master Thief challenges in the game. Keep Murray safe from the guards to score high on this challenge. Now, first of all, Murray ain't even vulnerable, we're still protecting the claw. Second of all, there's no score, and while you might assume from the name and the presence of a timer that this is another time trial, but no. That's not a time limit, that's just another HP bar for the crane, only reduced when it takes damage. At first I thought, oh, maybe it's like a diminished HP bar, like the Gondola challenge, and it had to be separate for some obscure reason pertaining to there being multiple power nodes. But no, it's tracking the HP one for one. There's no reason for it to be here. The challenge part of this Master Thief challenge is actually just a rampant influx of dingoes. I appreciate this, enjoy it even. It's pretty close to what I was just asking for, but what's with all the clerical errors? We've made it to the operation. The Mask of Dark Earth is essentially the last domino to fall.
Time for Operation Moon Crash. To start things off, we'll need the Guru to take out the gyrocopter.
Oh, and the gyrocopter, I guess.
Now, according to Aboriginal folklore, the Mask of Dark Earth is the sworn enemy of the moon spirit.
Unlike the Mask of Dark Earth, there are various Aboriginal depictions of a moon spirit, so good job there.
So, given Murray's moon shape, we'll coat him in the glowing oil and have him pose as the spirit. We'll then dangle him from the crane. The mask is sure to spot his ancient foe and come running. That's when we'll strike. Murray, thunderflop off the crane and obliterate that mask. With the mask destroyed and the miners run off, the Guru will be free to join the team for the Cooper Vault job.
This is a dumb plan, right? There's almost too much wrong with it to go over. Almost. Why would the Dark Spirit be fooled by a glow-in-the-dark hippo? Why would you assume it can even see as opposed to sensing things on a spiritual level? If it does assume Murray is the moon spirit and come running to do what? Attack, right? Or are these the kinds of mortal enemies that just kind of glare at each other? The essence of the plan is to drop something heavy on the mask to smash it. It already feels unlikely that will work given what we've seen it survive so far, but you're also assuming it won't simply evade and flee again. What if the mask possesses Murray? Why aren't there any precautions in place? Are we just banking on the hope that we're not prone to it? And finally, this is still radioactive oil. Those goggles aren't gonna do squat. Murray has 6 kinds of cancer right now.
Guru, I know you've yet to formally join the team, but we need your help to destroy the Mask of Dark Earth. Your objective is to take out the gyrocopter while it's refueling. The bad news is the gyrocopter has a sensor that can detect your moonstone. I suspect that's how they found and trapped you earlier. Get too close and they'll detect you, then take off out of reach. For this job, you'll need to run guards toward it and then jump off early before it senses you.
Oh, okay, this part of the plan is dumb too. The Guru's not especially suited to trashing this thing while it's grounded. Bentley, you could stick a bunch of bombs to it and you wouldn't even have to worry about its moonstone sensor.
Behold, the moon spirit rises.
Everyone keep an eye out for the mask. It's sure to take the bait.
We got a situation here, fellas. Looks like Carmelita finally managed to catch up.
Drat! We can't stop the operation now. We'll just have to give her a wide berth.
Roger, applying wide berth.
Quit horsing around and look out for the mask. It's close. I can feel it.
Here I come, Master!
Did you get it? Is the mask gone? Sly, can you see?
Just like the last time Bentley put a dumb plan to action, it's good for the sake of my sanity to see it go awry, but unlike Operation Canada games, I can't chalk this up to hubris. I have no idea what led the gang to think this would work.
Cooper, thought I'd find you here.
Carmelita, you've got a little something on your face.
It's not nice to make fun of a girl's looks.
Maybe I should smash you!
Now, that's not nice.
Bentley, could use a little help. How about putting a few of your sleep darts in Carmelarja here? Then we'll pry off the mask.
Rare failure condition here. You wouldn't want to, but if you try to leave this perch... I like that they're giving us a proper sleep dart challenge. Hitting a moving target with a non-hit scan projectile like this is especially satisfying.
Finally, the darts are starting to kick in. Or not. The chemicals in my darts must somehow be interacting with the mask to make her even bigger.
Whoa, you're not kidding, Bentley. She's getting gigantic. Everyone head for the big truck. We've got to get some distance between her and us. She might shrink back down with time.
This is bad. Looks like she's picked up a ring full of dynamite. All round power to the onboard Superclaw 10,000. Use it to keep any explosives off our truck. Maybe you can throw them back at her? Might slow her down.
She's too huge! We can't outrun her in the truck!
This is bad. We need a new strategy, and fast. Force just isn't working.
Time to stop running and deal with the real problem. Pry off that mask of Dark Earth, and maybe we'll get back the Carmelita we all know and love.
I do not love her!
Okay, not the point. It's all about taking off that mask. We gotta find a way up there.
You're the climber, and I'm sure you've always wanted to get closer to her. Can't get much closer than climbing up her bootlaces.
That's not a crazy idea.
Oh yeah, it's crazy!
Got a better idea?
Yeah! But we'd need a giant fighting robot!
Sorry, I'm gonna have to go with the bootlace plan.
Yeah, I know. Okay, get your jokes out now. This is my awakening. She can literally step on you. Ha 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 ha. Someone at Sucker Punch really enjoyed putting this into execution. Fine, yes. There is something almost undeniably horny about all this, exacerbated by a trophy for rail walking on her tail. But Godzilla and Tight Pants be damned, I think this is really clever. Climbing the laces, the seams, wall hooking on the buttonholes. We've never had to climb anything with quite so many moving parts, and the movements aren't mechanical. You have to get into a rhythm with her steps, and you can't stay still for long or the mercenaries will blast you. It's genuinely tricky, possibly the first real climbing challenge the series has ever posed. Here's something obscure. If you get too far from Carmelita, she'll nail you with her truck. You can stand on her head. I have nothing to add, that's just neat. Of course, there is a time trial for this once we've finished the mission, and I'm pleased to report that this one actually did take me a few tries. To such an extent, I fully recommend using the rocket boots to give yourself a head start. This also happened, though I have no explanation. With the mask dislodged, we find out its real weakness all along was bullets. And then the mercenaries just die, poof, vaporized. Dear God. But that's the end of the strangest villain to episode we've ever faced. No one has ever put the Mask of Dark Earth high on their Sly Cooper boss tier list. In a series carried on the shoulders of its writing and voice acting, the malicious, voiceless embodiment of wrath dug up by some greedy miners ain't it. I mean, he's basically the Balrog without the kick-ass design.
You know what they awoke in the darkness of Khazad-dûm. Shadow and flare.
It's also just kinda lame. It doesn't pose any threat unless it's possessing something, and even then, while that sick howl and impenetrable language were cool, it never felt like it meant business. But it does represent the next layer in our grief nesting doll. Anger. Murray fears his teacher's anger for his decisions in Venice. The Mask of Dark Earth turns its wearers into furious monsters. And we even get that direct talk about anger outside the bar. This whole mission has basically been a back and forth of 4 different factions visiting their wrath on each other. But the ludonarrative aspects are once again the most exciting aspect of this. Don't worry, I'm not about to say Sucker Punch deliberately made Australia the worst level so people would get mad at it. They're certainly not that pretentious. But this level does function as something of a rude awakening. It's such a departure from any of our prior capers, in tone, in mechanics, and indeed, the presence of our first new playable character in 3 years. Concept art for this level is much more vibrant in color than the final product, which consists mainly of dirty browns accented by sickly purples and greens. I do feel there was an intentional direction to make this level feel unpleasant. I wouldn't say the gameplay suffers from that, far from it. Some of these are among my favorite missions in the series, and yet the fan consensus is that this is the low point of Sly 3. Well, some of you think Episode 5 is even worse, and I'll get to you when we near that bridge. But for Rumble Down Under, it comes down to its narrative weaknesses. Unclear, fairly impersonal stakes, a not all that bad bunch of baddies, and a none too compelling boss which we definitely didn't get a sympathetic backstory for. That's all fair, but there's a reason for it too. Getting too comfortable in the pattern established by Band of Thieves was never an option for Sucker Punch, the team having a relentless desire to keep moving forwards. Perhaps this was all just a misguided attempt to shake things up, but I wouldn't even call it misguided. Putting both the characters and the player in unique situations, even if they aren't as compelling as what's come before, is an important part of Sly's legacy. Variety and adaptability are a part of the series' foundation, and I don't think Rumble Down Under could have done a better job at solidifying the feeling that we're on a new path. And for everything we could complain about, there's no denying it still packs those incredible character moments we love the series for.
Carmelita just lay there, unconscious, helpless on the desert floor. Being gentlemen, we kept watch over her throughout the night.
Sly's relationship with Carmelita felt a little strained in Venice, chafing under the repetition of their dynamics, so it's really nice to see a caring heart still beating underneath all that when the red tape disappears. This is so far from the Sly who left Carmelita handcuffed in an active volcano.
Her camera proved to be a real source of entertainment as we took turns posing.
This concern mixed with playfulness is what I came to see. These pictures have a bit of a story to tell, the guru essentially learning the gang's dynamic. Maybe there's a hint of second thoughts in there before finally he shrugs it off and is down to clown. Heck yeah, you'll fit in just fine.
Morning broke, and we got a clear view of the landscape. It was beautiful, empty of the miners that had been digging and drilling into the sacred place. The moment was broken as Carmelita began to stir, and we prepared for another quick exit. Only this time, it wasn't just the three of us. For the first time in Cooper gang history, we picked up a new member, and the team would never be the same.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Sly. Now, we've shaken loose from the beaten path. Anything is possible. Some might even say, the sky is the limit. I want to give one last shout out to Mythology and Gaming. He was a huge help in sorting through all the tricky Dreamtime, Mask of Dark Earth information, and his videos on the Mythology and Gaming are incredibly informative. Go check him out. And on that note, the next episode on Flight of Fancy, one of my favorite levels in the series, is raring to go on my Patreon. Check out the link in the description to swing on by. Any amount of support from my channel gets that early access and my frankly embarrassing levels of gratitude. Like a Miri the Grey, who, if I can get real for a second, has started editing the scripts for my videos, and I think they're so much better for it. She's awesome. Raven, who has discovered vitamin Z. If taken in a pill form, it makes you no longer dependent on social media for dopamine, so that's gonna change the world. Rockington has chased off the last 3 meteors that were looking at Earth funny, and they were all concerningly recent. Soup has been storing power for a spirit bomb for the last 6 years, and she still hasn't decided what to throw it at, so watch out. And Janku, Chris Bradell, Raisin Brand, The Humble Oscar, Sato de Sable, 10-Beat, Kane Lowwind, Rucksack 358-2, and my ever-growing multitude of other patrons. You guys get inside my head and freak me out 6 ways from Sunday. I can barely comprehend your awesome support, and I will see you in the next one.